had to leave for the escape zone around 1 o'clock in the morning to get there on time for the meeting. So,
Speaking of, good morning, everybody.
Good
morning.
morning, everybody.
Good to see everybody.
Waiting for Dennis to wake up. And
Yeah,
Awake?
Dennis is awake.
good to see everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
So I've been awake since at least 6:30.
Yeah, I got up early this morning for some stupid reason. I don't know why, because I didn't have to, but I did. Anyway, hope everybody's doing good. We got invitation out to Mark Pruitt to come on the show this morning, but he said he had to get dressed first. So
So we're
We
waiting.
would definitely like him to have clothes on if he's going to.
yeah, that's what he said. He said he had to get
Yeah.
dressed for our sanity.
He's somewhat close.
But he did agree to come on.
I don't know.
As far as I know, I sent him the link, so we'll see if he shows up.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be nice.
I don't
I'm
see him
trying
in
to
chat
remember
yet.
if I want to say the couple of times he has been on, I think I haven't been able to be on the show.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Uh,
I don't
I
remember.
would imagine he'll come on. He's usually pretty good about coming on. So, but anyway, we're gonna grill him about what it's like taking your layout down and moving your layout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what we
Stuff like
want
that,
to
'cause
talk about a little
He's
bit.
done it a ton. So
Taking
yeah,
the layout.
Bernard says the shirt's all you need.
Yeah, shirt's all you need.
As long as you don't stand up. Old dog wants in, and then she'll want right back out next to Thunder in.
What does that mean? Glad to see you're not in a body cast.
Well, I mean, that's if you didn't watch my most recent upload, then
No.
you probably wouldn't understand. But
Okay. No, don't tell me.
okay,
I'll watch it later.
all in good fun.
You mean your Thursday night upload?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, we saw it. I think
Anyway.
most everybody saw it. I didn't see it till it was well after the fact because you started putting it on earlier in the evening.
Yeah.
There's no Steve, right? Steve's working.
Steve's working today. I'm not sure what he's doing, but he's working.
Yeah.
Yes, he
So,
is.
good morning, everybody. Good morning, Bernard. We got JP, Container Man. How you feeling, Container Man? Floyd Robbins, Gerald Stewart, hi. Dwight Curley, Kyle Stevens, Ray Bertelstein, Rob T-Man, and Stormy Skies. And if I missed you, Steve 87. I said, how come Steve 87's not on the list? Anyway, Steve 87. Good morning.
Anderson? Yeah, he's always on the list.
Joe
Now
Rader.
he wants back out, so it's a second. Okay, how'd you go?
Lynn? I don't know. Maybe Lynn slept in a little bit.
Was Lynn not here this morning?
No. No, Lynn. Maybe he slept in. Maybe he's busy.
Took for granted he was here.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he's feeling okay.
Yeah, hopefully he's feeling okay. Usually he's here all the time. Container Man that's sore. Well, it's going to happen.
Yeah, Roy, that was funny. You know, I saw you talking about that, and I was going to say after mine, I was hurting so bad before the surgery because my gallbladder was almost burst. So I was hurting really bad when I went in. So once they took it out, it was like, you know, I could breathe again. I could sleep. I had no pain after the surgery on mine, but then, you know, everybody's different. Hope you get feeling better.
Probably no pain compared to the pain you had when your gallbladder was bad. Right? If you had a little bit of pain, that was bearable.
Yeah, because, well, mine, it hit all at once. You know, I didn't have any gradual lead up to it. It was just one night it started, but I didn't know that's what it was. But it had me up all night, and I'd already been up all day.
Right.
And then I was up all night and up all that next day, went in the hospital. and I didn't get any sleep until they gave me, got me in a room and gave me some morphine. And then it was an hour at a time I could sleep, and then they'd have to come and bring me some more. And then in the morning they did surgery. So thank goodness I did surgery the next day, because I couldn't have dealt with that very long.
Yeah.
But anyway, Ron at Classic Trains is selling out most of his stuff. Ron at Classic Trains. I don't know him, I don't guess.
Huh? What was that? Ron's Classic Trains. Everyone see Ron's Classic Trains? What was the message?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Is selling out. No. Who's Ron's Classic Trains?
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Is he an O-scaler? Okay. I think I know who you're talking about. I don't really watch them.
Oh, scale. Okay. They're really big stuff, so you don't need glasses. Uh-oh.
Guys,
How come he's selling out? Do you know, Bernard? Hey, good morning, Mark. Upside down, sideways, Mark.
yeah, how do I fix this on an Android?
I don't know. Flip your phone.
I don't know. This
I don't know,
this
but this
could
could be
be
fun. We can just
really
leave it like this.
entertaining.
Here, let me just do this.
Okay, I don't know how to rotate it. They change the Android software all the time, and it's now
What
it's
happens if you
manual.
rotate the whole phone?
Well, yeah, I can do that. Hang on a minute.
It might
here.
auto flip back though.
There we go. That way, I'm not going to make
Oh,
while I do this.
Yeah. Don't want to make
oh,
that.
you're good.
There we
Dennis is
go.
the only one that
Hey,
makes
there we
sick
go.
anyway.
There you go.
He's in the operator's closet.
Yeah.
Yeah, dispatcher's closet. There you go.
Dispatcher's office.
Office,
Yeah.
not closet. yeah.
Otherwise known as the Harry Potter room under the stairs.
That's Dave's little spot, right?
Yeah, well, sometimes, but he's bailed out on being dispatcher. I guess the pressure was too much for him, so somebody else going to do it this go round.
I'll just make Dave sit in there.
It's a lot of work dispatching.
Well, that's what's going to be his big surprise. Is even though he's not dispatching, he's still going to have to sit in his little room.
Good place for him.
So you guys must have been desperate this morning, huh?
Well, the reason we asked you on was Jerry was talking, we were talking just before the show about we should get you on to talk about moving your layout. What that entails, and if you plan for anything, that sort of thing.
Yeah, like
Moving your layout or taking it down like I'm doing.
Or somebody is stuck with taking your layout down because you're no longer.
Yeah, the question that I would ask is, like, so when you built your first layout, how many, what changes occurred over the years and how you built the next layout just because of the previous layout? Was there a lot of changes that went on, and I'm going to approach this differently now, or did it take 3 times before you say, you know what, I'm not going to do it that way again? Or, was there an evolution there?
I suppose a little bit, but basically, no matter how many times I tore the layout down, I just started building another one the same way. I wound up being able to move this layout, part of this layout from New Jersey, just kind of as a coincidence, I guess, or I hadn't really planned for it, but it broke into several sections easily enough. I built it in sections, and but all the top, the sub road bed and everything, the track, it was all just one big massive piece. But because I had built the base out of foam on top of a grid construction, the grids came apart. And then it turns out it was really easy to cut through the foam, so I wound up with 3 sections I was able to move.
Did Did you have to abandon a lot of stuff, or that was pretty much most of your layout?
Well, it was the most complex part. That was Casper Yard. The rest of it, I kept all the benchwork wood, but the subroad bed and everything, there wasn't that much of it. And that track was all glued down with caulk. I just cut it all up in pieces, tossed it in a dumpster.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I.
As I recall, Casper was on was it on rollers at the previous location, and then, or did you put it on rollers right when you got to this where you're at now?
Now, I put it on rollers when we got here because I was going to need to do a lot of work behind it and above it before I could put it in final position. So it went on rollers. But as soon as I got Casper moved into its permanent location, the rollers came back off.
Okay.
Well, so the last move, was that the biggest? Were you able to take the biggest pieces or had gotten the furthest with that layout before you moved than any of the others?
I was able to move the bigger pieces than I had before, but no, the biggest one was the original layout in that same location. What now, 20 years ago? And, that was, I was able to keep tons of track. I was able to disassemble that, but, and that included like 9 scale miles of Code 100 track for the Helix and whatnot. But all of the sub road bed for that went in the trash. But I kept the bench work again, and I hauled that down to South Carolina from New Jersey. Used it on the layout that I started building down there, and then a couple of years later, it all wound up in a dumpster. So I started over when I went back to New Jersey.
Oh,
But
okay.
So
Every
you
no
time I-
wood whatsoever in the current layout that existed in the original layout.
I'm sorry, say again.
So there's nothing. There was no bench work that is on your current layout that also existed on your first layout.
How do you define? Oh, the first one in New Jersey. I mean,
Yeah,
my first layout was 20 layouts ago.
that's why I was curious.
Yeah.
Did anything survive from that? Even if it was like a 2x4 or something, did anything survive that was made use of in what you're doing now?
No, not from the first New Jersey layouts. They wound up in the dumpster because I was getting ready to move back to New Jersey. And I had I wasn't going to rent a storeroom to store a few $100s worth of old lumber. So
Yeah.
I just wound
But
up
you
throwing
kept-
it all away.
You kept everything else, any kind of electronics, any kind of rolling stock,
Oh, yeah.
locomotives, all that stuff. You kept all that, right?
Well, I mean, that's
Yeah, sure. My one regret is that during the downtime between layouts, I didn't build structures and rolling stock. Now I'm kind of playing catch up.
Yeah.
been
Well, the problem
building.
with building structures and then trying to move them is keeping them in one piece. Just taking mine off of this one and putting them in a box to kind of safeguard them while they
Yeah.
sit. Still trying to get them off the layout in one piece, unless you put them on there with no glue at all. And I did some of those. You can't get them off without some damage that I'm going to have to go back in and repair on any that I keep. But
Yeah.
moving them, especially cross country, you can't expect them to stay in one piece.
So
Yeah,
Mark,
I had about half a dozen that I packed into cardboard boxes with styrofoam peanuts all around them, and they survived pretty well. But if I ever have to move again, which my wife wants to, but if I ever have to move again, I'm going to wind up destroying the Powder River stock pins to get them off the layout. They are permanently attached.
Yeah, I ran into the same problem with mine because what I did with mine is I took those Campbell kits and I built the fences and then made custom design with that. So it all had to be glued down to keep it together, and coming off, it wasn't going to come off without tearing it up. So if I do others, I'll just build new ones. Plus, they'll be a lot smaller than that one.
So Mark, in all your moves, has your layout stayed the same in size, or has it gotten bigger or smaller?
Yes. Um, all of the above. The first bigger layout actually survived in 3 iterations. One of them was in California. That's where I developed the basic concept that I still use. I started building that in California, wound up tearing it down completely. That was in a 2-car garage, and then moved to Washington State and started building pretty close to the same track plan. There were some modifications, but it was same big U-shaped layout at one spot in the Seattle area. And then we moved a couple of blocks away when we went from renting a house to buying a house. And I don't know what people thought. I took that one into sections and I was carrying them down the street because I didn't have a pickup truck. So I'm carrying these things down the street to the next garage. That was the first one that actually was transportable, as it turned out.
So you just moved from one house down the street to the other?
Yeah, I was a couple of blocks away. We bought a house. We were renting, and then we bought a house, and I was able to move it.
So where in New Jersey did you live?
In New Jersey, I was in Merchantville, mostly. I started out in, you know where Deptford is? West Deptford?
I live in Woodbury.
Oh, no kidding. Well, I probably drove by your house a few times. I used to go to Woodbury all the time. Lived in West Deptford for a while in an apartment. Then I bought a house in Winona, a little Queen Anne Victorian. That's my favorite house of all time where I've ever lived. But, you know, life caught, and I swore when I moved into that house, I swore they would haul me out of their feet first. That was where I was going to stay the rest of my life. And a couple of years later, I met my first wife, and, you know, I don't say that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I've moved half a dozen times at least since then. So
Best laid plans, right?
yep. So that layout was completely demolished.
It'll always come back and get you.
Yep. So that layout was completely demolished, and that was the first of what I call the first variation of the CB&Q in Wyoming. That's where all of the concepts came together. Never got very far with that. Tore it down. Started the really big one in Merchantville, New Jersey. And I spent 8 years on that. I don't know. Have you guys seen some of the pictures of that?
Well, just the one. I've just seen the
kept
ones
up
that
with the
you've done on
Cronkite
your
series. So
your Cronkite series.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was covered there pretty briefly, but yeah, that's probably the biggest and most complex layout I ever started. In 8 years, I was about ready to start building up on the second deck a little bit. So the Helix never really got used after spending a year building it. But that came down because I got transferred to South Carolina. Wound up with the grand total of about 11,000 square feet of living space in the house we bought there. I had 4,000 square feet, the whole second floor of the house for the layout room. Nicest layout room I'll ever have. But then my wife got sick and wound up having to tear that down. All the bench work and the rolling stock and everything went into, we just stored it in the garage in the house we rented near my work. So a couple of years later, I wound up throwing that all away because I moved again and didn't have room to store it.
Yeah, it's hard to go from like finding a place to put 4,000 feet of layout, right?
Yeah. But
Bernard
you
wants to know if you lived in Wyoming for some time.
well, I was born and raised in Wyoming, and then moved back here in 2019, November 2019. Bought this house, and here we are.
So
So
you're
is that
originally
where-
from. Go ahead, Jerry.
He's originally from Wyoming. So is that where CB&Q came from? Your upbringing, your youth? That you
Yeah.
were fascinated with that area of modeling?
Yeah, it's kind of a big nostalgia trip. Although I model an era from before I was born, I'm not quite that old.
That's okay. But, you know, it's just
But-
the area, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you know, the funny thing is, you know, we lived in Casper for 7 years when I was a kid, all total. And I don't ever remember seeing a Chicago Northwestern train. I know I must have. And, you know, they ran right smack through the middle of town. But I don't remember those at all.
Yeah. I mean, like, I grew up in Philadelphia. I'm sure I saw GG1.
Yeah.
One. I mean, I don't ever remember one, but I'm sure I saw one at one time. But
You don't sound like you're from South Philadelphia.
no, I'm not from South Philadelphia.
Where in Philadelphia did you grow up? I lived there for a couple of years.
By the airport, Southwest.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I used to drive by there all the time on the way to work. I worked at Boeing.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the old rail car factory, actually.
Yeah. I remember Boeing got. I think Boeing received some of the SEPTA cars that came from China or Japan, the Kawasaki back in '80.
Well, for a few years, they tried building rail cars there.
Did they really?
Yeah, and I guess Boeing is just, they know airplanes and they don't know railroads, so that didn't work out for them.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
They're trying to build them out of aluminum, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know that they built them there. But I think that used to be, wasn't that, was that the Baldwin Locomotive Factory?
Part of it used to be, yeah.
Yeah, so it was interesting being there. And of course, half the plant is across the railroad tracks. People would be crossing the street, crossing the highway, and sit there for 15 minutes waiting for a train to go by.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, and it's still the same way. It's no different. I mean, like you would see people walking back and forth. You see like military people, civilians, still to this day walking back across, this pretty big highway. I mean, it's not huge, but I mean.
Well, knowing the Boeing management as I got to know them, I'm surprised a bunch of them didn't get run over by trains. Just not paying attention or like, oh, I'm a Boeing manager. Nothing can hurt me.
So you worked
Sorry, bit of editorializing there. It was.
That was they built helicopters back then there.
Yeah, that's where the Chinook was built, and
Right.
we started building a lot of parts for the Apache. But I worked mostly on first the what was it? The 767 fixed leading edge. We built leading edges for all of the jumbo jets for Seattle for years. And then they transferred that out on a technology transfer thing to Shorts Brothers in Great Britain, I think it was, got the bulk of it in order. And the UK was supposed to buy some C-141s or something like that. And then they reneged on it, but they kept the work.
Yeah.
So, but they also, I worked a lot on the V-22. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was the coolest thing, man. I can remember like they would take them out and fly them to test fly them,
Yeah.
I remember one time I was in Walmart and one was flying over Walmart. I thought the place was going to fall down. Yeah.
Well, they're noisier. They're noisier than hell when they're in helicopter mode, but when they're in airplane mode, you don't hear them coming at all.
Right. Yeah. So this was in helicopter mode when it was.
Yeah.
The Walmart's, maybe a mile.
Is that the Osprey?
Yeah.
Yes. The tilt rotor.
Yeah, I've heard that it, like getting into it can almost cause hearing damage.
Yeah, it is loud, but it's great because the rotors spin so much faster than a regular helicopter that you can't count them. You can't tell how many are coming, which was apparently a big problem in Vietnam with the what were the Hueys or whatever.
Yeah, Bell Huey.
Theoretically, the enemy could count the rotors and they could hear them coming for 5 or 10 minutes, so they could get ready. V-22.
Huey was just a thump. Thump, thump, thump. Yeah.
Yeah, but the V-22, when it comes in airplane mode, if they do a max performance drop off, they're in and out within about 30 seconds. And as they transition into helicopter mode, they start making noise. That's just enough time to wake the enemy up before you take care of them.
Yeah, you're done by that time.
Yeah, and the V-22 is gone, leaving the guys on the ground to mop everything up. It was a fun program. I really enjoyed working on that.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool. So right now, your layout now, would you say it's on the big side, the small side? Have you made it smaller?
Not
Well,
small.
I don't know, Dennis.
it's not quite as big as the one in New Jersey, and it's not quite as ambitious as the first one in the Merchantville house was. It's not total 2-deck and everything, but I've tried to stuff about 10 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bag.
Right.
Well, that's the main problem.
We can all
a lot of
relate to
railroads
that.
have is
Yeah.
that very problem right there. We always think we need more track, more track, more track,
Yep.
and then you just don't
Yep.
have the room for it. So
Yeah, I've got 3 decks here.
yeah,
And
Is there anything right now that bothers you enough that if you were starting over, you would definitely not do?
no, that's one of my big problems. I never learn. I always every time I start a new layout, I do the design. It's like gotta put in less hidden track. I put in a lot of hidden track, and I'm always thinking not going to be so much. And by the time I get the design done, there's a ton of hidden track again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It just happens, huh?
That's-
yeah,
Every
you know,
once in a while, I
double-check
think about that. You know, if I were starting again tomorrow, what would I do different in the room? And there's not a lot that I would do different.
well, you know, if I ever come into a lot of money, I'm going to excavate under the garage, and staging, Cody Branch, and the C&W are all going out in the garage, so everything is basically on one level. That would be such an improvement.
Yeah, see, I didn't want multiple levels. I decided that this was going to be the closest thing I had as a multiple level. I wanted everything else to kind of, and I've got the other corner kind of is too, but I didn't want a dedicated multi-level layout.
You know, that's pretty funny. Neither did I. So here I am.
So when you had your 4,000 square foot area, did you have just one deck?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, everything was spread out through several rooms, and I never got most of it built, but
Right.
the one part that I got almost finished was the Laurel, Montana yard for the Northern Pacific. And that was, I love that because it was big enough that it felt like a prototype yard. I just love that. And I'd hope to reproduce that, but I just don't have the room. So I never did, never was able to.
Only if you excavate can you have the room, right?
Oh yeah, but I'm not gonna add the Northern Pacific back into the layout or anything. It's all just staging now. Before I actually had, well, in New Jersey, I had a very small version of Laurel yard, and then when I went to South Carolina and had room to really expand it, I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed having that large yard. I would like to have duplicated it, but I didn't want the whole rest of the layout to be subservient to that one yard. That would have been the central feature, and I, didn't want that, so I just live without it.
So why did you like the yard so much?
Because the classification tracks were about 25 to 30 feet long, and just seeing those long strings of cars sitting in the classification yard gave me a real sense that it was modeling a prototype yard. You could look at it and it looked right.
Yeah, you weren't stuck only having 10 cars on your layout thinking that you had 50.
Yeah. Yeah. It was overkill probably, but I had the room. So
yeah, you had the room, so you just did it.
Yeah. Took me 2 years to build that yard too.
Yeah, I was actually looking forward to operating with the yard I had for my narrow gauge, because that was the only really yard on there was the narrow gauge, but it was a stub-in yard. So
Yeah.
that's where it would have brought some good operational stuff in, plus the narrow gauge. It was on, say, the east side of the tracks of the standard gauge, but it had to go to the west side of the tracks to get up the mountain and go where it needed to go. So that also was going to bring in some operational stuff there, but sadly didn't get that far.
Well,
That was
you
the
know,
plan, though. That was to give me that operation.
yeah. Between my Casper yard, which is stub ended, and my Grable yard, which is double ended, I figured I've got just plenty of yard space. Never have to use it all, you know. And with the trains that I'm trying to run, Grable is going to be choked. The Grable operator is he's gonna have a hell of a time running that yard when everything else is operational. And the Casper yard's the same way. I use right now one entire yard track just to store the cars that get switched in the Casper local industries. And there's not enough room there. When the Standard Oil starts getting 10, 12, 14 tank cars, I'm going to use up 1.5 yard tracks. And, you know, that leaves about 3 for classifying the rest of the trains coming through. It's going to be tight.
Yeah, that makes it interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Dave refuses to run Casper Yard. and he was better at it so far than pretty much anybody else.
Yeah.
But he said, no, I'm not doing that again.
He's spoiled.
Yeah.
He was a locomotive operator.
Yeah. Yeah. He says he likes to run the Chicago Northwestern freight train. And that's what he likes to do. Okay. So I'm going to make sure that he winds up he won't even do the Casper local switcher, let alone yardmaster. So
I had never thought about really doing much operation at all, you know, other than just moving stuff around like I wanted to. And then I went to Dennis's and ran his time saver, and it was a lot more fun than I thought it would be. Trying to figure out where you had to put stuff, where you had to move stuff and let it sit for a second to have room to put other things in. And if he hadn't been giving me some tips on the way, I couldn't have got it done. But that was a lot of fun doing that.
Back then,
I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for my invitation to come to Dennis's to run.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, the plan right now is to put a deck on the house this summer. If I get that done and I get this run up here to where hopefully I don't have the worry of something falling 4 feet to the ground, you know, because if I invite people over and a disaster happens, it's my fault, right? You know, it's not going to be the person running the train, even if they had a legitimate accident or were clumsy, whatever the case. If I've left the railroad in a way that something like that could happen, it's my fault. And so that's kind of one of the things I'm waiting on. Like I would feel comfortable with 2 people in the room right now, but if I want to get 3 or 4 people in the room, I would like to remove as many of those chances as possible of something hitting the floor. But I mean, absolutely, you know, anyone that watches is willing to drive 6 or 8 hours to come. I wouldn't say no, right?
That's
for you, I think that would be more like 12 or 14 hours.
I'll see you there in a couple of days.
But I'll give you this advice. If you go to May, Oklahoma, either bring a tent or you're going to have to stay about 15 miles away in a hotel there.
25.
Or 25, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I couldn't do 25. No, 15 fine, but 25, God, that'll never work.
Well, there we go. I guess I won't be seeing Mark anytime soon.
Is there a Tesla charger anywhere near you?
I believe there are some chargers 25 miles away from me, yes.
Oh, that's no problem then. Yeah, I'll see you next Monday.
Okay. Yeah, just text me or whatever when you're about 3 hours out. And
okay. Okay.
I think that's what Roy did. I think Roy gave me 24 hours notice before he showed up.
Well, that's really nice of him.
So, hey, I've got an operating session on March 24th. You guys are invited if you want to drive to Casper.
Yeah, I'll be out in the water then. I'll be on a cruise.
If I could talk the wife, you know, we usually take a trip somewhere in October.
Yeah.
You know, I would not be opposed to going somewhere up there. You know, like I would love to go through Cheyenne again. I've been through there a couple times. You know, maybe stay a night there and find some other things to do. And
Yeah.
I would love to, because I've never operated a railroad before, ever.
Really?
Other than my own. And I've done a couple things with the kids, you know, but you know, you have to explain every little thing, include how to drive the locomotive.
Sure.
So I don't really have any kind of real operating experience with more than myself.
Well, I have an operating session in late October, third week or so of October. So, you know, yeah, if you're on the road, drop by. It'd be great. And none of us have much experience either, so you'd be right at home.
I mean, I understand kind of the big picture, right? Like when you're talking about the Grable yard being a handful, what are some of the expectations of that person working Grable?
Well, we've got several through freights that come in from staging. He's got, excuse me, he has to pull cuts of cars off of those and put other cuts of cars on that are heading into staging or heading for Casper. And then he's got to build the Thermopolis local, which runs through Basin, Worland, and Thermopolis, and the Cody local, which runs down the Cody branch.
What is the time frame in which those things need to occur? Either in real time or on the, you know, if you can give us both real time and fast clock time, if it's applicable.
Yeah, I don't use a fast clock, and we don't really run a schedule. We've just got a sequence of trains at this point. Everything is still developing, but it keeps them busy. But you know, all basically pre-build the locals, so they're sitting on yard tracks ready to go, except for the locomotive and the caboose. And there's one guy that comes down from Sheridan. He really enjoys running Grable Yard, and he does a good job of it, doesn't complain about it. So apparently it's not nearly as overwhelming as Casper was for a while. But it keeps him busy.
It sounds just exactly what I do in Frying Pan. You know, I can run a through freight from either direction, and then while that's going on, I'm working on building a train for a local.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's a lot like that. And one thing I've noticed, I've been running a couple of trains myself here, which I almost never do. But I've been running a few trains the last few weeks, and one thing I noticed, I need a double crossover in Grable, because as it is, the staging tracks come into the main line, and then you have to go all the way to one end of the yard or the other and back down onto the AD track. And that's something there was no room to do anything else there, but that's kind of a flaw in the design that popped up when we started operating. And I noticed it when I ran the Cody local. I just ran that a couple of days ago. When I brought it back in, I had to go all the way to the end of the yard and back up on the AD track. And that's a pain, because you're tying up the main line.
So, Mark, is all this dependent upon how many operators you have?
Yeah, we just drop off trains if fewer people show up. Then, there's, as well as the through freights, there's two refrigerator reefer expresses, I call them, one westbound, one eastbound, and several passenger trains. And the passenger trains are generally the first ones to fall off. And then the refrigerator trains will drop off, and I haven't had so few people that we haven't been able to run the rest of them, the locals and the and the two manifest freights from staging to staging.
How many people do you usually have?
Generally 8 or 9 minimum, and there was one time I had like 13 people here, and it was crowded.
8 or
Which-
9. That's a lot of people.
Yeah,
So
when I moved out here, I thought I'll never get anybody. There's nobody out here, and most of the people that run on the layout come from several hundred miles away. 2 or 3 guys come down from Sheridan. Usually 3 guys come down from Sheridan. That's 150 miles. A guy comes up from Harriman, which is near Cheyenne, and that's almost 200 miles. Dave comes down from Basin. That's 200 miles and a smidgen. And my other long distance regular operator comes from Evanston, which is about a 5.5 hour drive.
What?
Oh.
Yeah, and he
Well,
generally
one
will stay the
way?
night. If his wife comes with him, they'll stay at a local hotel. But otherwise, he'll generally just spend the night with me. And he's great because he'll help me out with something on the layout the day before or the day after, and then he'll head back home.
Wow. 5 hours.
Yeah. And then 2 or 3 local guys. And it's like, are you kidding me? 2 or 3 local guys,
Well,
and everybody else comes from somewhere else.
if
There's
that's
also another guy that comes up from Torrington. He's become a regular. Torrington's about the same distance away as Cheyenne. He's a UP engineer.
if that's a truth within the hobby that there's that many people willing to drive that far, then I mean, I'm only 150 miles from Oklahoma City. Maybe I will get more people interested in operating than I think. So what kind of engine operations have you also included? Like if your freight comes through freight, is getting coal, water, changing power, are any of those things also part of the operating scheme, or have you added those yet?
Some of it. Every train that goes through Casper, except for the westbound manifest, gets a locomotive change in Casper. It is steam. Well, if the diesels run through, which I try not to do, but if I'm running diesels, then they'll run straight through. But the steam has to get changed out in Casper, and that's almost enough that I need a hostler to work Casper sometimes. If I have enough people, I'll have a hostler, and they'll also run the staging yard. The staging channel is right next to Casper Roundhouse. So
what exactly does the hostler do?
basically, he'll take the locomotive from the inbound turntable lead, run it through the coaling tower and the water spout and into the roundhouse, and he'll pull the replacement locomotive out of the engine terminal and let the road crew pick it up at that point. So,
does the road crew just wait patiently while that happens, or?
Well, I don't know about patiently, but they wait.
Because some of these things, I don't know where real railroading kind of begins and ends, and model railroading picks up. Where are the gray lines between reality and what we do just as modelers?
Well, I could tell you this much. Some crews sit for hours waiting to move.
Yeah.
Nowadays, so it's no different. I mean,
okay,
it is no different.
As I understand it, generally when there's a locomotive change, there's a crew change, but not on a model railroad. The crew will run 100 miles in a grand total of 8 to 12 hours. With waiting at both ends and sidings in the middle for other trains or whatnot. But I've got my main loop is like 3.5 scale miles, so there's none of this 8-hour stuff.
Right. How long is your operating sessions?
2 to 3 hours. We start at 12:30, and Dave has a hard time driving at night. He can't see real well in the dark, so he'll leave in the October session. He'll leave at like 3:30 in the afternoon. Other people will stay until 4:30 or 5. So it just we run until everything's done or until everybody's had enough.
So you're saying if you want Dave to leave, you just turn the lights out and
It's
No,
almost
I don't have to do that. His wife is she comes down with him and she reminds him it's time to go.
yeah, that's what they're for, right?
Yeah. But
and
it's
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 all
great.
based off of a sequence of trains.
Yeah.
So are you running timetable train order, or are you running a different? Is it kind of a, I don't know, a bastardization of more than one kind of?
Pretty much that.
Okay.
We just started for a long time. It was just I was sort of the unofficial dispatcher, like, okay, let's get another train out there, and not a lot of structure to it, and that seemed to work. Although at one point we had trains backed up too deep on the main line waiting to get into Casper. And then some of these guys taught me into building this monstrosity. And we started dispatcher with the last operating session in October, and it actually went pretty well. There's train orders, which are kind of like a Form 19. And it was really, it's evolving very rapidly because there was no intercom system, no phone system or anything like that. And we wound up with everybody standing around the dispatcher's office waiting for their train order so they could do something. And that's not going to happen anymore. I installed an intercom system, precursor to phones. I'd rather have phones, but I got some wireless intercom off of Amazon that works for now. And Dave almost wore his fingers to nubs, writing out train orders and then filling out the train order log. And he said he's never going to do that again. So now I've got clipboards with blank train orders around each of the intercoms, and he'll just call up and give somebody a train order. So he only has to write it down in the log. So hopefully, it's going to continue to evolve for a while, but I think it's getting better.
It just looks like a whole heck of a lot of fun to me.
Well, as a layout owner, I've managed to run, I think, one train one time during an operating session.
Yeah.
But it is really satisfying to see the layout come to life and actually, and all these people come over and have fun. And they must be having fun because they keep coming back.
Yeah, they must be. Do you have good snacks? Is that it too?
Well, because people come from all over the state, we make a day of it. And, Dave will show up, depending on the time. In the summer, he'll show up at 9. In the winter, he'll show up about 10 because sun comes up later. But, he'll help out with a few things left on the layout. And if the guy from Evanston, Steve, is here, he's over here early and helping out. And then anybody that wants to, we all go to Pizza Ranch for lunch at 11 o'clock when they open. And then we come back and we start the operating session at 12:30.
So it's an all-day thing.
Yeah. Steve's wife usually comes up with him from Evanston. Dave's wife always comes with him from Basin, and my wife is off. That's why we do these on Tuesday, because that's my wife's day off, Tuesday and Wednesday. So they all go out shopping, and we all come down and run trains for a few hours. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, and it's very satisfying to see people enjoying my layout.
Yeah, that's probably the best part, right?
Yeah.
So I read an article in I can't recall the magazine, but it's an operations based magazine. Signal. I can't recall, but one of the article was based on your layout is going to get damaged because of operations. Is that something that you've dealt with, or have you done some things to help prevent, kind of the inevitable? Has that been anything that you've dealt with yet?
Not to any great extent. I've, a lot of areas that don't have scenery yet, or the hidden trackage, I put fences up along the edges of the sub-road beds so that if something comes off, derails, or gets bumped, it falls over, but it doesn't fall to the floor. Other than that, the only thing I run into is we have one guy that just refuses to keep his hands off the equipment. And I hate that. You know, I weather with chalks and I don't set them. I use the weathering chalks, which are pretty good, but you can get fingerprints in it if you're not careful.
Yeah.
And one operating session, he was doing helicopter switching, you know, pick it up, move it over, set it down. Broke into that habit, but he pushes on the roof walks to push cars around and stuff. And it used to just irritate the crap out of me, to be honest. But then lately I've been going up to operate on layouts in their area. This is up in Sheridan, and the uncoupling tools they use and everything, you have to hold on to the car to uncouple the cars. So I understand why he does it. I've got everybody to the point where, you know, sometimes you just have to hold the car because the couplers will push the car out of the way rather than mate, especially like a caboose on the end of a train. But I've got it to where people are holding on to basically touching the coupler on the other end to hold the cars. And if something derails, and I've got a surprising number of people that run switches all the time, then, you know, they can touch the car by the trucks. And I've got people mostly doing that, except for the one guy that still likes to kind of push them around by the roof walk.
So do your road crews double as hostlers at times?
Not generally. That's up to the yard masters. Grable has some engine changes, and Casper has a lot of them, and usually the yard master will do that.
Gotcha. What are some of your house rules? Do you
Don't
like
pee
have
on the floor?
do you have a list of rules that you know everybody that you post on the wall or that you have reiterated time and time again or anything like that?
Not house rules, just, you know, layout rules. Like,
Well, that's what I mean.
Equipment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's like, don't touch the equipment. There's speed limits for different areas of the layout. Wind River Canyon's 35 miles an hour. Himes Curve is 10 miles an hour. People, you know, and there's nothing to indicate how fast they're going. It's just sort of, you know,
Your best
estimate.
guess.
Yeah, and some people ignore them, of course. Other than that, not a whole lot. You know, just, you know, don't do anything stupid. Try to pay attention to what you're doing. And, you know, we've got one guy that he loves switching, and he's terrible at it. he's done it time and time. He switches Casper a lot. Great guy, good friend. Just can't quite figure it out, but he has a great time trying. So, you know,
like you can't figure out like movement. Is that what you're talking about? Like how to best move the car?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That would be me.
I'm sorry.
That would
be me.
Oh.
I'd be that guy.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's one of the club members here too, and he's down at the club and he switches trains. it's the same thing, but he's having a great time, and that's really the most important thing. You know, is don't get upset if somebody razzes you. That happens constantly.
Yeah.
But you know, the key thing is have a good time. One of the things I've learned with my operating sessions, you know, I was, as time has progressed, I've gotten more and more focused on modeling what was actually here, in both in operations, equipment, even to the point of some of the structures. And I thought with operating sessions, yeah, you know, it's going to be just like the railroad was. But you know, as this has gone on the last couple of years, I've gotten to the point where if Dave wants to bring one of his little 70-ton dumpsters down and use it, okay, fine. I don't mind. You know, if you want to run certain, because I know Dave's equipment runs flawlessly. It really does.
Yeah.
So if he wants to bring it down, if somebody else has a favorite locomotive they want to run, that's fine. You know, I don't mind as long as it runs well on my layout. And so far they have. People haven't done that a lot. If they want to bring their own passenger train or something, yeah, maybe not. But if they have a favorite locomotive they'd like to run, I have no problem with that. So
that's something that I probably won't have to deal with too much, because like my uncle used to be a member of the Amarillo Model Railroad group. Been quite a few years since he was, but he's got HO equipment, but he can't rent it on my railroad.
Well, yeah, the HO
Otherwise, he
entry
probably would have already.
Dave says he wants to bring a Thomas engine next time.
well, Dave, if you got one, you can bring it.
As long as it
I
runs.
need
If he
something
does,
for
you gotta
target
give us.
practice.
If he does, you got to give us film of that.
Yeah.
I will. It'll wind up on an update video, or maybe a special video that's of all its own. You know, and it may be perfect. By the time I get Wind River Canyon scenic, it may look like one of those giant Lionel styrofoam tunnels, so that Thomas and Tank engine look fine.
Yeah. Well, I hope to get up there someday. I don't know if I will or not, but yeah, I'd like to.
Well,
get
you're
up there
certainly
and just
you're
see the
certainly
layout
welcome.
in person, because it's so much different in person than it is on video. You can do all the video you want, but it's never the
Yeah.
same. Never as
Well, the
good
great-
as
Right.
being there.
The great thing about video is that the camera doesn't see so many flaws.
Yeah. Well, that's true too, but it still looks better, I think, in person than it ever does on video or pictures, for that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get a sense of the space and how everything connects. You just have a limited view of what you see, and you don't really know how it interconnects with the other parts of the room that you see.
Yeah, even a layout like the Colorado Model Railroad Museum. If you've been there, I know you've seen pictures of it, but if you've been there, you know it's not the same. It's so much better in person, because you
Well,
can see all the smaller detail too that you don't pick up on video a lot of time.
I was there once, and it turned out they were closed that day, so all I saw was the parking lot in the building.
Oh, it's because it's good. They've got a snow shed that was built piece by piece. I forgot how many thousands of pieces it has in it, but it's beautiful. And
Right.
what's I think the funniest thing about that layout is here it is in Colorado, and yet it's modeling, I think Washington State, the railroad up there. So it's kind of funny, but it's still mountainous terrain and stuff, so it fits there. But it's not.
Is that the one that's in Greeley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're ever
I think
in
that's
that
on.
area,
I think that would be on the way for me to go see Mark.
Oh yeah, you can go by
It
there.
could be. It's
You'd
30
have to
miles
make-
or so off of I-25, but you know,
you'd have to make the detour to get there, but it's not that far.
Yeah.
And it'd be worth doing. If you're going to be in that area, it's definitely worth doing.
Yeah.
I'd go there before I'd go to the Colorado Railroad Museum as modelers. Colorado Railroad Museum's good too, because it's got real trains there, and they also have a layout, but their layout is nothing like what you'll see in Greeley.
really. I was at the
What a
Colorado.
Awesome.
I was at the Railroad Museum in 1974, so it's been a few years.
Yeah. I've been there a couple times, but it's, and it's good to see, but it's like
Do they
going to
have-
an airplane museum. It's everything's static sitting there for the most part. Now they do have running sessions because they have a loop of track, but I've never been there when they're actually running trains.
Yeah, when I was there, they didn't have a loop of track or anything. It was all just static display. But
Yeah,
that was over 50 years ago.
Yeah, they've got a loop there now, but it's just not very big. It just goes around that one area. And they do have, or at least when I was there, they had a G scale layout there just outside the building where they have all the inside stuff. But yeah, it's not as good as the Model Railroad Museum, I don't think.
Okay. And one of these
Well, we
days
got
I'll have to get down there.
About a minute and a half left here, guys. Any other questions? Anyway, but yeah,
You sick of me yet?
I'm sorry.
Are you sick of me yet?
No, never,
No.
Mark. Dave might be, but
Yeah, Dave might be.
Dave doesn't count.
yeah. Anyway, well, I guess we'll go ahead and sign off because we just got a few seconds left. But
Okay.
thanks for coming on, Mark.
Thanks for
And
coming on.
Thanks for having
always
me.
interesting.
Yeah.
Always interesting.
All right. Give me a
And,
call when you're desperate again.
Yeah, well, we'll get you on again. We'll get you.
Okay.
There.
That's
Hey,
almost
you
every
know, you
year.
guys are all welcome to come up and visit. Just give me a little bit of a notice, a few days, and come on up. We've got a spare room, even if you don't mind spending the night. And there's a Holiday Inn down the street if you'd rather be alone.
Yeah. Well, if I came, it'd probably be with the wife, and so it'd be in the Holiday
Yeah, me
Inn.
too.
Okay. Okay.
But
Well, you're
yeah,
welcome. And the cost
Try
of
to go for
admission
lunch,
is
mate.
just the free dinner. So,
Definitely on a bucket list for me would be to operate your railroad.
okay. Well, that's a very nice thing to say. Thanks, Dennis.
Oh, and Dennis, I was going to say, if you go up through on I-25 between Colorado Springs and Denver is just a nightmare on the road.
Well, we went to
I've
Colorado
never been up in
Springs,
there where it wasn't.
not last year, but the year before we went to Colorado Springs. So, I mean,
Yeah.
When you
he
get to
went just
Colorado Springs and north from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins, it's just hell.
Yeah, it's awful.
So if you don't mind 2-lane roads, you might want to go a little bit east and up through like Lyman, Colorado, or something like that, and then over,
Yeah.
because
You
it's
can go back that
like
way.
night and day.
gotcha.
Or
So-
even go west of Denver and go through the mountains. A lot more winding roads, but it's nice
Yeah.
scenery.
But is that going to get me to Greeley?
No,
If you if you go there, but I mean, you would be crossing 25 as opposed to being on 25.
right.
But now from Greeley north, it's not too bad.
Yeah, Greeley North, you go through such wonderful metropolises as Nunn, Colorado, Nunn. And then it's nothing to
Can't be
shy
any
of,
worse
man.
than where I live.
Could be.
I had to wait on a truck the other day before I could pull out on the highway. I was like, "What's going on?
Yeah, because there's
The
nothing out there.
traffic here is crazy."
Mark,
Kids
what's your
are
traffic?
better get it.
Mark,
If you come up, we'll get you out to someplace like Natrona or Waltman, Wyoming, and we'll see how that compares.
Mark, before you leave, what's your channel name?
It's the CB&Q in Wyoming.
Dennis, can you bring up his?
Yeah, I can probably do that.
I'm trying to bring it up, but here it goes. I think
I
this
got
is
it.
it.
Yeah.
He's usually in my top 10 of subscriptions on my left. Did you get it already, Jerry?
I think
Oh, there you go. Somebody popped it up on the screen.
Okay.
there's a clickable link.
Okay. Well,
All right, good.
thanks again, Mark, for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming
Y'all
on.
take care.
Take care, and everybody in
Everybody have a
chat,
good week.
have a good rest of your weekend and a good week. We'll see you next week.
Yep.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
See you, everybody.